For most of our lives, our homes fill up without us even noticing. A new set of dishes here, a few extra towels there, a drawer that keeps catching when you close it. But as we get older, something shifts. The things we once thought we couldn't live without begin to feel like anchors. The space that once felt comfortable now feels crowded. Across the country, seniors are choosing a different path, not by buying or upgrading, by releasing. They're discovering that letting go can be one of the most healing acts of all. These are their stories, 10 real things they decluttered and never missed again, along with the peace they found on the other side. Before we start, if you believe your home should feel like a sanctuary, not a storage unit, subscribe to Senior Decluttering Diaries, where we share stories that inspire you to live lighter, freer, and more peacefully. 1. Old clothes that represented a different life. Margaret stood in front of her closet, staring at a row of pressed blazers and pencil skirts she hadn't worn in over a decade. She'd been a high school principal, respected, busy, always in control. After retirement, she told herself she might need them just in case. But the truth? Each time she saw them, she felt a twinge of sadness. They reminded her of early mornings, purpose, and the identity she wasn't sure she'd replaced. One afternoon, she decided to try something new. She pulled out each item, held it for a moment, and asked, "Does this belong in my life now?" Most didn't. She kept one outfit, a navy suit that made her feel strong, and donated the rest. Her closet suddenly looked empty, but her heart felt full. She said, "I thought I'd feel lost. Instead, I felt found." Now every morning she opens her closet and sees only what fits her life today. 2. Boxes of old photos no one looked at. Tom's basement smelled faintly of dust and cardboard. For years it had held his memory boxes, stacks of photo envelopes from the 70s through the 90s. When his granddaughter asked to see pictures from his wedding, it took him an hour just to find the right box. That's when he realized he wasn't preserving memories. He was hiding them away. Over several afternoons, Tom sat with his wife and sorted through the photos. They laughed at old hairstyles, cried at faces long gone, and picked a few favorites to digitize. The rest, duplicates, blurry shots, and unknown faces, went into the shred bin. By the end, they had one neat album and a USB drive full of highlights. He said, "I thought I'd be grieving, but what I felt was gratitude. Those moments were never in the boxes, they were in us." Now his photos aren't buried in the basement. They're displayed on a small digital frame in the living room, cycling through a lifetime of love. 3. Extra furniture that crowded the home. Jean and Robert lived in the same home for 42 years. Every decade added another chair, another side table, another shelf. They didn't notice the clutter until their grandson started visiting. "Grandpa, why do you have so many tables?" That night, Robert looked around and saw it clearly for the first time. Furniture pushed against every wall, rooms that felt smaller even though the house hadn't changed. So they started small. One extra coffee table went to a neighbor. The second bookshelf went to a church library. With each piece gone, light began to stretch further across the room. The air felt different. Their steps sounded softer. Jean said it felt like the house exhaled. Now they have one simple rule. If it doesn't serve a purpose or spark comfort, it doesn't stay. 4. Decorative items that collected dust, not joy. Linda had spent years curating shelves of trinkets. Porcelain angels, travel souvenirs, vases from friends. They were beautiful, but deep down, she wasn't admiring them anymore. She was maintaining them. Every Saturday, she dusted for hours. One morning, she stopped halfway through and just looked around. Her living room looked like a museum, full of history but missing life. That day, she boxed up everything that didn't make her smile instantly. Only 10 pieces stayed, the ones tied to real memories or beauty she still felt. The next day, she sat in her favorite chair, sunlight streaming through the window, and said, "I can finally see my space again." Her daughter noticed it too. "Mom, your house feels bigger and happier." She laughed. "I think it's because I finally made room for peace." If you're watching this and quietly thinking, "That's me, I could use that peace too," Take a second to like this video and share it with someone who might need that gentle nudge to begin. And don't forget to subscribe to Senior Decluttering Diaries. Your story might inspire someone else. 5. Piles of paper and old documents. For years, Harold's office was a sea of paper. Old bank statements, expired insurance forms, tax returns from 1999. He kept them because they felt important, evidence of responsibility. But that responsibility had turned into anxiety. With his daughter's help, he created 3 piles: keep, scan, and let go. After a weekend of sorting, his mountain of paper fit into one small drawer. The rest went to shredding and recycling. When he sat at his desk that evening, for the first time in years, he could actually see the wood grain beneath his hands. He said, "It's like clearing out my mind. No lost documents, no regrets, just order and peace." 6. Cookware they never used. Betty's kitchen told the story of her life. A family of 6, Sunday roasts, birthday cakes, and endless dishes. But now, at 73, it was just her and her husband. Still, the cupboards overflowed. Bunt pans, slow cookers, gadgets from the 80s. When her arthritis made reaching the top shelves painful, she finally asked, "Why am I still keeping all this?" She spent one afternoon sorting. The bread maker she hadn't used since 2009, gone. The 3 lasagna pans, donated. What remained was a small set of well-loved tools. She said, "I used to dread cooking. Now I love it again. My kitchen finally fits my life." Her meals became simpler, healthier, and, as she put it, seasoned with relief. 7. Unread books that guilt-tripped them. Paul was a lifelong reader. His shelves groaned under the weight of novels, biographies, and textbooks he swore he'd read one day. But every time he walked past them, he felt a quiet shame. They reminded him of ambitions that didn't match his energy anymore. One Sunday, he sat down with a cup of tea and decided to be honest. He kept only the books that moved him, the ones that had already shaped who he was. The rest he donated to the community library. He said, "I thought I'd feel emptier, but it was the opposite. The guilt left with the books." Now, when he looks at his shelves, he feels calm, not obligated. He even started reading again, just for joy. 8. Sentimental gifts that didn't fit their life. Joan's spare room had become a storage area of guilt. Wedding gifts she'd never used, souvenirs from coworkers, vases from people she no longer spoke to. She kept them because she felt she should. After all, someone cared enough to give them. But one day she realized those people didn't give her those items to burden her. They gave them as a gesture of kindness. She decided to keep only what made her smile. The rest went to charity. That night, she placed a single blue vase on her windowsill, one she genuinely loved, and let go of everything else. She said, "It turns out, gratitude doesn't need storage space." 9. Duplicates of everyday items. When Bill and Ellen downsized from their large suburban home to a smaller condo, they couldn't believe what they found. 5 spatulas, 3 brooms, 2 sewing kits, dozens of towels just in case. It wasn't wasteful, just the slow accumulation of years. So they turned it into a game. Each day they'd choose one type of item, towels, mugs, scissors, and keep only the best 1 or 2. The rest were donated to shelters and local families. Soon, their drawers closed easily and their kitchen counters gleamed. Ellen smiled. "We used to think more stuff meant more security, but now less means more peace." 10. Old goals and someday projects. Ruth's attic was filled with boxes labeled "Someday." Someday she'd finish the scrapbook. Someday she'd paint again. Someday she'd start that blog. But as the years went on, those boxes became reminders of all she hadn't done, not inspiration. One spring morning, she opened every box and asked herself, "Does this still excite me?" Most answers were no. She donated the supplies, shredded the papers, and kept only her watercolor set, the one hobby that still sparked joy. She said afterwards, "I didn't give up on my dreams. I just made room for the ones I still want." Her days feel lighter now, filled not with guilt but possibility. The truth every person in this story discovered is simple. We don't lose ourselves when we let go. We find ourselves beneath all the layers of what we've kept just in case. Each object we release makes room for something far more valuable: peace of mind, ease of movement, and a quiet joy of living in a home that finally feels alive again. Decluttering isn't about deprivation. It's about alignment, making your space match who you are today. If this episode resonated with you, subscribe to Senior Decluttering Diaries for more real stories of courage, simplicity, and renewal. Because the journey to a lighter life doesn't start with what you throw away. It starts with what you decide to keep.